temp agency security. You didn't know that that existed? I found out the hard way. Let's go ahead and take a pause here for Dutch. I'm pretty sure I have Dutch ancestry, or I have Nordic or something like that. No, it's Dutch. Through my father's side, there's our family links to Dutch Vikings from like a freaking 800 years ago or something like that. Anyways, this is SO Chris 199. Still waiting on my career job. We'll see if I get it or not. Whatever, either way. Today's video for this week, I'm going to be talking to you guys about the time I signed up for a temp agency. So, like I was telling you last week with that really boring video because I bit my tongue and I was struggling to talk for like 3 days. My tongue is healed now, so now, you know, like what it says in Proverbs, the tongue is set on by the fires of hell or something like that. So I'm going to be spitting the hellfire at you guys today. For this video, this is the job that I went to because I forgot until I was making the video last week. There was actually a security job before the one after I got out of the hospital. So when I was a BHT, I pretty much took a job at this really seedy complex that was essentially a strip mall. So I don't exactly remember where it was. It wasn't in Glendale. I don't remember exactly where it was. It was like 30 minutes from where I lived at in downtown. But so same thing with that company. That company is actually the reason why I had to take down multiple different videos from this channel because, and I don't know what the statute of limitation is or even if it even matters anymore. I'll get into it. So at that job, I'm just going to say that it was called American Security. Okay. And I had no idea because they didn't mention it on their website. They didn't bring it up on Indeed when I put in an application. None of this got brought up until I actually started the job. That like after I had already put in my stuff for like direct deposit and everything, that it was just a company that Securitas had bought and used it as a temp agency. I didn't know that. So I figured that out like 3 days into the job. So very, very shady. And it's just something that's just going to keep coming up when I'm talking about work here and talking about all these different security jobs. Yeah, that's... So how it worked is that I got dressed up and then I drove to somewhere. I don't even remember where this place was. It was an old woman that was doing the interviews. You know the job's bad when they just start telling you, okay, when can you get on and this is what you're going to be doing. Because it wasn't really an interview. I don't even think they sent me to a drug test now that I'm thinking about it. I went there. And one of the first things, this woman, she was standing up at a desk that, you know when people have desks where they stand when they type on the computer and everything's like elevated? It was one of those things. And then there was a wooden desk in front of her. And then there was like this like shitty chair in front that I was sitting in that was like small. So she was like really elevated above me. So I think it was literally the second question she asked. She said, "Do you want to work tomorrow? Can I put you on the site tomorrow?" Red flag. So the thing is that now that I'm looking back on it, they actually did pay a fairly decent amount of money. They actually did pay a lot of money to do like nothing. So that's a good thing about working in Arizona as compared to here in New Mexico. Because even though my job is really easy now, I'm not getting paid anywhere close to the money that I used to be getting paid. So anyways, I said, yeah, I can go on the job tomorrow. So without doing a background check, without giving me a drug test, without doing anything, I mean, even when I was at the mental hospital, my first boss, technically both supervisors gave me a little kit for the swab for me to put the swab on my mouth. And then, you let it sit there for like 5 minutes and then give it back, and then they shake it up. Okay, you have drugs in your system, yes or no? So, that's what happened. They gave me the uniforms right then and there. I believe it was like 3 shirts or something like that. And the shirts on there had the 3 red dots on them, and it said Securitas on them. And then I thought, okay, well, that's not the company I signed up for. I don't want to work for Securitas. I want to work for American Security, but whatever. So they gave me the uniform. They said, go get yourself a pair of black boots and black tactical pants at Walmart or whatever, and go show up to the site. So the site was at the airport. So it wasn't at the it wasn't TSA, it was behind the airport. It was at this company called Honeywell. So now we're going to get into it. We're going to see if I get in trouble with the government all over again with this video. I've already removed my name. I removed anything that there is any kind of connection. Like when I was doing searches to see if I could find myself on this YouTube channel, nothing like, sorry, I've been sick with an allergy infection for like 4 days. But so nothing, if anybody does a background check or anything like that and they type in my information, they're not going to find this YouTube channel. So I send this out to all my friends and family every time I make a vid, and that's really the only reason I'm making these videos. Anyways, so I get to the site, and it is behind the airport, and I can't find it. I don't know where I'm supposed to go, because that's a theme that is just, it is commonplace. I'll put it like that. In security, where every time you go in for your first day, for whatever reason, no one knows, no one can ever tell you this, you're going here at this place at this time. You're going to meet this person for this training. It never works like that. They just expect you to just know. So it's the bane, it's like the albatross around my neck with this kind of jobs doing unarmed security, is that the whole attitude of, well, you just should know. It's just, anyways. So yeah, real great. So I get there, and it's kind of just the same song and dance. No one knows why I'm there. No one knows what to do with me. No one knows where to put me. People are surprised that I'm there. We didn't know another new employee was coming in, because it's like a call center. It's just a roundabout. It's, most of these unarmed security jobs with these companies, usually the people stay for maybe like 2 months to up to a year, if that, like 30 days. It's just one of those kind of companies where it's like a revolving door. So anyways, I end up starting, and they put me in 2 different posts, but one of them is basically the size of a small broom closet. And what you do there for security, oh, this is another thing that was pretty funny. So no matter who I talked to in security that was wearing those stupid 3 red buttons that said Securitas on there and those white shirts, no matter who I was relieving from the morning shift, because they put me on evenings. Excuse me. And I worked a whole 6 weeks at that job before I got fired. So, anyways, yeah, fired with prejudice. So, no matter who I was talking to, except for maybe a couple of the supervisors and maybe probably the shift lead and like the 3 or 4 supervisors, no matter who I talked to there, I got the same answer. Every time I said, hey, so what's the rundown when I came into work? It was always, this is my 3rd day here. This is my 2nd day here. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what they want me to tell you. It was over and over again. Just that. So, Securitas, Garda World, pretty much, like, it's great if you need a job and you need to make money fast. It's great to go into security, but just expect that they don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to run a business. I seriously don't understand how these businesses stay open because of the level of just retardation. So anyways, they put me in a tiny sweat box that had, thankfully, an air conditioner because this was during the summer. And so all I did, which was, if you think about it, like going back to it, it's really easy. It's just like this job now. Like with this job now, when they sent me to one of the posts, a woman who trained me told me she's 80 years old. And so that's one of the key features about, it's like, you know, when you go into pro wrestling, you know, when you start on the indies and you work on the indies for like 5 or 10 years before you might get called up to like, I don't know, New Japan or TNA or, you know, WW shit. Like, once you're done with that, because what, 99% of the people can't stay there for more than like 10 years or something like that, like, you know, wrestling wise. I'm sure with other like things like agents and people that work in the back and things like that. So when you go up, eventually it's like when you throw a ball in the air, it's going to come back down. So security, I feel, is actually going to be one of those jobs where after I do the actual career for 20 years, I'm going to be back doing this kind of security when I'm a very old man, when I can be easily assaulted and taken advantage of. So this woman said she was 80. Anyways, so that was what the job was like at the airport. I would say about 40%, if not half of the people I work with had been over the age of 60. And this has happened multiple times at spots that I've done security at where I just clearly didn't fit in. I fit the mold as to what they wanted for security, but there was, because you have to understand something. So when there's something that's happening at work where there's someone who's violent, who's walking around with a gun, who's walking around with like a machete, a bat, like things like this, which things I've encountered multiple times. The problem is when these companies hire old people or they hire a lot of females, the problem is that when danger actually happens, they call the non-emergency or 911 and it's taking police forever to get there. Like, oh, well, police will be there in 30 minutes. Yeah, that's not good enough. So they don't know what to do in those situations. They can do all the other stuff of like filling out the DARs and things like that, using the walkie-talkies to report back to base and, you know, just do the observe and report and stuff. But when it comes to hands-on and doing the actual job, you know what I'm talking about. Like, basically, security is a job for men. That's about it. So, young men. That's what security should be full of. Because there was a guy who came onto the lot. And this guy had like a blade. I remember this. It only happened once in the 6 weeks I was there. So me and the site supervisor, he was the shift lead. We were the only young guys that were big, that were in shape. Everybody else was either old women, old men, or young females that were like really tiny. So like really skinny. So I remember this guy, he just walked into the part of the airport where our booths were at, and he had like a long knife on him. So when that happens, what do you think happens? Because when they call for 911, the police don't get there in time. They come and they get me. And then they went, and the site supervisor, they went and they got him. Chris, can you handle it? You know, SO Chris, Officer Chris, like, hey, there's a guy here. Like, can you, even though we told you not, we told you to stay at this post the entire 8 hours you're here and you can only leave to go to the bathroom, but there's a guy here. Can you go handle it? Even though you can't leave, can you leave? It's because we live in Babylon where up is down, left is right. So we live in America's the land of confusion. People in jobs they shouldn't be in. So anyways, because what if I wasn't there? She was just going to get stabbed up and murdered? Anyways, and then the guy ended up, we called the police, made sure the guy didn't get through any of the entry points. But basically the job was essentially like, you know, if you guys have seen the show Better Call Saul, it's like what Mike did, you know, at the beginning where he was in the booth and it was like the two arms, you flick the button. So that's essentially what the job was. Really, really easy. So that's what I did. these people were so inept and incompetent that they took this guy who was 18. He was like this tall black guy he was like really cool. I really liked working with him, but he only showed up for 2 days of work and quit. Seriously, my second day of work there, my second day, they put him with me and told me to train him. My second day there at work. So, running out of time here. So, I'm going to tell you why I got fired with prejudice. So, 3 of the women who had all been in their 50s, 60s, and 70s, all these boomer older women, were my bosses. One was the boss over everybody for the entire airport, for the whole security division. So obviously you see why that didn't, that wasn't working out that well. So the 2 women that were right below her so there was one guy who was really cool. He's like an older man. He was just kind of strange, but I actually really liked him. I thought he was cool. I think his name was like John or something. But the 2 women that were on par with him, who were like the main supervisors right below her, they were all sisters. And in the eyes of the law, that's called nepotism. So I'm not saying that it's necessary. I mean, it's not even, to me, it's not even necessarily bad. It's just that I saw them do such a bad job, but you're all getting paid, Lord knows how much money to do this, when, I don't know, it's just kind of the same thing over and over again with these kind of security jobs. It's just over and over and over again. Well, oh yeah, you're supposed to be in training, but I don't know where to put you. Like, I don't know. It's just a lot of, I don't know. It's a lot of that. So it's like, okay, well, why are you here then? Why are you my supervisor? If you don't know what you're doing, then how do you have a job here? So anyways, like I was saying, I would stand out there right next to where the planes would be taking off. And it was pretty much just construction workers and guys that were truckers that would come in to do secret deliveries. And that I cannot talk about as to what the deliveries were. But I don't know. Maybe it was like alien spacecrafts or something. I don't know. Someone was joking. I think the supervisor was joking with me about that. Like, oh, it's ship parts to make like alien spaceships or something. I don't know. But so actually, well, yeah, something like that. Most of the time I didn't even know what were in the trucks. I do know that there was a tank right next to my the sweat box they put me in. They had one of those desert American tanks they had in the Gulf War. Anyways, so that was it. You just hit the button up and down. That's it. The job was super easy. It's just I got frustrated because I wanted to go back to the psychiatric hospital, which was the story of my life for like 2 years. So, because I kept getting pissed off over and over again, keep thinking like, dude, I am way too overqualified to do this job. I want to go back to psych. I want to go back, stuff like that. So anyways, I already told you guys about the Bolt story because this was before Bolt. So anyways, this was the summer of, I worked there September to October. So this is how I got fired. This is great. So I ended up making a series of these YouTube videos. And over there, they have to do a government background investigation of a 10-year span. So you have to go through all these different hoops, and you got to fill out all this information, all this paperwork, all the stuff online for both Securitas, both Honeywell, and these government websites, because they needed to get you a level 2 clearance. I have a level 1. So, but you, in order to get put at like 7 more posts, you needed to get a level 2 certification, basically a fingerprint card for level 2. So that's a 10-year background check. So what they did is, while the process I was in for waiting, I ended up making 4 YouTube videos basically shitting on the company, because every time I kept going into work, I kept getting more frustrated that the place was not being run adequately. I'm just one of those people where I'm very routine oriented. I'm like robotic. I got I guess I got that industrious personality type kind of thing. So I can't stand it when things are not in order and things don't make sense to me. You know, it's like that thing people say, make it make sense. Here, it was just incompetency all over the place. Like most of these jobs are like that. So in one of the videos that I discussed with my friend 101, well, pretty much I told everybody, but I flipped the phone around to show the picture of a cat because there was a stray cat that kept at the same time, like at 7 o'clock, because I think I worked till like 10 p.m. For some reason, at 7 o'clock, this cat would always come near the booth that I was in the back of the airport. So I flipped it around and tried to show the cat because I was bored, like sitting in the sweat box. Because I'd say after about 5 p.m., sorry, my throat's getting dry. After about 5:30, something like that, the trucks usually stop coming in, or construction workers or whoever, they'll quit coming in. So you're pretty much just sitting there by yourself on your phone for like, like 6 hours. Like you're pretty much just sitting on your phone. So, which, looking back on it, I probably shouldn't have complained as much as I did or made those videos. And what I did is I actually scrubbed all the information for anyone to be able to do a background check to find my YouTube channel, because it's all secretive now. But anyways, so like I was saying, one day I got called in, and this was in the middle of the 10-year background check, and I thought that it was almost done because it had been a month. So I filled out, I don't know how much information. It took like 3 days to fill out all this paperwork, like a stack of paperwork, plus more online on the websites. Right when I come into work, the main guy, and this guy flew fighter jets in Vietnam or something like that. I don't know, some fuck. So he comes up to me and he says, "Hey, Chris, you're not going to report to 20 whatever. You're not going to report to 215 today. You're going to come with me. We're going to the main office, somewhere I hadn't even been at yet." So anyways, so we go. And I was trying to make small talk with him because I thought what was happening when we were going to get into the office is that they were going to tell me that I had passed. I thought they were going to tell me that I had passed the background check and everything was ready to go. And then they were going to put me on more booths in more different places. So here's what happened. I get in, I sit down. It's a woman in this small office, and it's way in the back, in a place they hadn't even showed me. So it's way in the back, and this woman had to have been in her freaking 70s or 80s. Old, white woman with this nasty blonde hair. So this old ass grandmother. So I come in, I sit down, and she looks at me right when I sit down, and she starts basically going off on me. "You think you're this, that, whatever." And at first I didn't know what she was talking about. I don't remember exactly what she said. I do now. Okay, so she said, because I said, I'm sorry, I don't understand. And because she said, you think that you know everything, and you think that, so you think you know more than us, you know more than I do about my job. And she was saying stuff like that. And I said, "I'm sorry, I don't know what I was like, I apologize, I don't know what you're talking about." And she said, "Those videos," she said, "Agent, I think, Agent something." I don't remember what she said the name of the guy was. "Agent what's his name from Washington, D.C. saw your YouTube videos." And then she said, in one of the videos, you flipped your phone around to show a picture of the airport. And then the Vietnam guy was just staring at me, shooting daggers from his eyes at me. And he had his arms crossed. He was just doing that. And she said, "With everything that's going on right now, the war that we have in Israel, that she said, you don't think Hamas can see your video and they can pinpoint where this airport is and they can drop a bomb right on us? Hand to God, she literally told me that. And then the guy said, and then he just, like a parrot, he just repeated what she said. And then so both these people are these people both had to have been in their 60s or 70s, like old people. So like this guy, like no hair on his body, like he, you know, a sagging skin, like old, super old man. So anyways, I was just starting to ball my fists up. And then I was just going to start telling her off. Well, I was told that like, your two sisters that you work with here, that are all in prominent positions here in security, you guys are all siblings. Like I didn't say it. I just stayed quiet. Like I was like biting my lip, trying not to like lose it. I was like, dude, this is an old woman. Like I'm not going to do this, but I was like, seriously, like I was like balling my fists. I was really pissed off. And then she said, she called me a threat to national security. She said, you're a threat to national security. And she said, the agent, what's his name, told you to take all those videos down and you have to take them down right now. You are not allowed to make YouTube videos where you are, you're supposed to be professional and you signed an agreement with Securitas that you would not, put up videos for content of, whatever social media. You signed a contract saying that. And I was thinking to myself, no, I did not sign any contracts. Like I did not do that. If I did, when I came in for that interview, they didn't tell me that. So, I mean, that was like one of those like wrongful things. Like you're supposed to explain to me what I'm signing. But anyways, so I actually don't remember signing anything during that interview. But anyways, so then what she said was, and then I just didn't say anything. I just kept staring at her. And then she said, so what we did here in the office is we sat here and we watched your 4 YouTube videos because the agent, what's his name, wanted you to take down the specific video where I showed the airport and the cat. She said, but we sat here and we watched your 4 videos. And she just started going, she was trying to undress me, like going off on me about, like you're arrogant and you're like, you think you know everything. And like, she just kept saying things. Like she wasn't cussing or anything, but she just kept saying I was arrogant. She said, I've been doing this job for 30 something years, like stuff like that. You think you know how to run my job? And like, you think you know how to run this airport? You know how to run security? And she just kept saying, you don't know it. You think you know, but you don't know anything. She was saying stuff like that. And I was just like, just staring at her. Like I seriously had I balled my fists up on the table. And then when she said, she pointed at the guy and then pointed at me and said, he is fired. Hand over your badge. She said, hand over your badge right now and make sure that you watch him as he walks all the way to his vehicle. You are terminated. And so when I stood up, you could tell she got really nervous because I slowly got out of the chair, but I was still I was trying to I kept it composed, but I got up and I kind of just kept staring at her and you could tell she was she was just nervous. And then the guy, he quickly got up out of his chair and he was like, let's go. And then I just looked at him and then I turned around and started walking. And then I took the badge, I just calmly put it on the desk and he walked me out. We walked all the way to my vehicle, the one I'm actually recording in now. It was this vehicle. So we got to the end of the parking lot. I turned around once I got to my car because he literally followed me to the door. I turned around and looked at him and I said, I had no intentions of things turning out this way. And what he told me before he turned around, the last time I ever spoke to him, he said, Chris, he said, not only am I disappointed in you, but I would never have expected you to act like that on those videos because of how professional you were here. And yeah, well, little did he know I'm psychopathic. So I'm able to turn that switch on and off, but I'll tell you what you want to hear so I can make money. So anyways, you know, I can do the damn WB frog dance, you know, so I can do that all day. So anyways, that's what happened. I got fired with prejudice. And that's my story with that. And I really don't care because that job was garbage anyways. I mean, it was easy, but it sucked. And I was way too overqualified to be doing something like that. So this is SO Chris 199. Next week's episode, I'm going to talk about when I went to the children's hospital. So that one's going to be fun too. So it's like every one of these jobs was just shitty. So, yeah, rich people ruin everything. All right.